Today's event will provide medicine to over 1,000 people inside the community of Havana Cuba. My name is S. James Guittard. I'm Senior Vice President of Global Policy and Strategic Development for La Fundación Educativa de la Diaspora. We're a global foundation, philanthropic fund, as well as multinational policy think tank. We do education initiatives, health and nutrition projects, technology programs, as well as global humanitarian assistance. I'm here inside Cuba along with my colleagues because Cuba is facing a dire level of medical shortage of medical supplies. And so what we're doing is we're having a series of different events all throughout Havana to provide key levels of medical resources. We have over 1,000 people who are anticipated to come out today. We did an event previously inside January which had over 700 people. As you can see behind me, there are a host of different doctors who volunteered their time. So we have a collaboration of over 40 doctors and nurses who are local from here inside Havana who volunteered their time to assist inside this particular initiative, as well as it's being done with one of the amazing civil society organizations here inside Havana, which is named Grooming. And so our goal is to be able to work authentically in supporting the Cuban people by working collectively inside the various communities on a grassroots level. It's a unique opportunity during these challenging time frames to make sure that the resources that the people need get directly to the people, because the circumstances and issues that the people are facing are not of their doing. And so therefore what we need to do is acknowledge the fact that these are good people who are dealing with a lot of challenges with integrity and purpose. And so what we do is we have an enormous level of respect for the Cuban people, and what we're here to do is to be able to provide brotherly support. During the course of the next several days, we'll be having events that are medical, sports, arts events that will be held in different communities throughout Havana. But we put a special level of attention and focus on communities that have large numbers of Afro-Cuban population. You know, many people throughout the world, particularly in the United States, don't even understand that Cuba is one of the hearts of the transatlantic slave trade. Many people don't recognize how black Cuba actually is. And so this is an opportunity to forge greater levels of alliances. And when we're doing things inside Havana, we focus on communities like Marianao. We focus on communities like Cerro. We focus on communities like Arroyo. We focus on communities like right here where we are right now in Havana Villa. What we recognize is that vulnerable populations consist of everybody. And as you can see, based upon the people who are receiving the different levels of medical supplies, we don't discriminate upon who gets the supply. But what we do make sure is that the supplies are readily reachable to that of large numbers of Afro-Cuban populations, and our efforts are centered in their communities, and then provide the opportunity, welcomingly, with total love, for everyone to be able to come out who's in need. So everyone's well received, but what you'll see is that our events have a heavy number of Afro-Cuban doctors. As a matter of fact, we have a strong level of representation of Afro-Cuban women doctors, right? And so when we move from community to community, we want the community who has so many Cuba is known for its doctors and its medical programs. So why bring doctors from the United States when there's such gifted and talented medical professionals here in Cuba? Only thing they need is the resources. So we recognize the fact that we're in the midst of an embargo. And we recognize that there's additional levels of sanctions that are being applied by the United States. And our message is this, is that there's U.S. law and there's Cuban law. When it comes to respecting the law for us, it's not an either or, it's an and both. We respect the laws and the requirements that are required by the U.S. government for travel. We're here for support of the Cuban people. We recognize that Cuba is a sovereign nation with its own rules, regulations, and laws, and they have to be fully abided by. And we make sure that we do that intentionally to make sure that we're in total alliance with everything that has to occur. But we also recognize concerning the embargo. While La Fundación Educativa Diaspora is not a political organization, nor an advocacy organization, we're an education and humanitarian organization. But we do understand the devastating negative implications that the embargo has had upon Cuba. We also recognize that there's over 190 nations that comprise the United Nations, and over 187 nations that comprise the United Nations all have voted the fact that they would like for the embargo to end. I think if 187 nations out of 190, which represent over 99% of the world's population and 99% of the world leaders, all are in agreement that the embargo is an ineffective strategy to be able to be utilized, then at the very least, it needs to be something that needs to be re-examined again. I always share with people the following. Ukraine and Russia right now are in the midst of a terrible, horrific war, right? There's lots of tensions between Russia and Ukraine. But when it came to the UN vote, even Ukraine and Russia, with all their levels of difficulties, both agree that the embargo should end. That tells you something in the midst of India and Pakistan. Lots of tensions and conflicts going on. Both nations agree the embargo should end. Saudi Arabia and Yemen, major levels of conflicts. Iran, between Saudi Arabia, lots of tensions, lots of issues, lots of global problems and challenges. But all of these nations, including all of the United States partners that represent the G7, all of the United States alliances that represent the G20, are all in agreement that they believe that the embargo should end. Now, our position is the United States government has its policy position that it has, and it has to be honored while it's in place. But I do think that there's need to re-examine that particular policy. That's not a foundation position, that's a personal position that I have. That at the very least, if the entire world is saying this is something that is ineffective and is actually doing more damage to the Cuban people, then what we need to be able to do is say, let's re-examine what the goals and objectives are and whether or not is this the appropriate strategy that's being utilized. But in the interim, people need medical supplies. People need opportunities to be able to be successful, to grow, to prosper, and lead good quality life. And our goal is to be able to support organically leaders who are local in the community to be able to bring about projects that make a difference. Things like this cannot be done in silos. So what we did is we coordinated locally with many of the major health clinics and hospitals, and we had doctors that are from there make the determination on what are the different types of medical supplies that will be needed. Recognizing that this would not be done in coordination with the government hospitals, this would be them volunteering their time separately as individual citizens of Cuba. But for them to be able to provide us a list of different levels of particularly pain relief, you know what I'm saying, level of medication that people need. Matter of fact, something very important to understand. All the decisions, every medical decision that's being made concerning the medicine is underneath the exclusive supervision of Cuban doctors. We don't make any decisions concerning who gets the medication, how much they get of the medication. All that is being done by the medical professionals here inside Cuba. What we did is we provided them with the resources and asked them to put together a list of different things. Not only is it the medicine that you see here, which we have at a variety of different events that are being held throughout the city, but we have a prenatal program for women who are pregnant. Information is important as well as accurate information. There's a lot of misinformation that exists about what's transpiring here inside Cuba. So I think it's an important role like organizations of Belly of the Beast to serve as a key advocate of just getting out what's actually going on and the implications of it. What La Fundación Educativa Diaspora is doing, we're a nonprofit organization that's actually based inside Colombia. What we're doing is we're bringing together a variety of different even civil society organizations here inside Cuba and in different parts of the world, saying, okay, how can we work in tandem better to get together? And so what we're looking at is like through La Fundación Educativa Diaspora, which people can visit our website, diasporaexcellence.com, and learn more about our various programs, initiatives, and projects. What we're doing is saying, how can we serve as a vehicle to bring more people collectively together in a coordinated strategy? So instead of operating in silos and independent, let's work more collectively together so we can better be able to provide direct support to the Cuban community in different parts of municipalities, not only inside Havana, but throughout the entire nation of Cuba. Like, our efforts need to go from the far side of the West all the way to the east in Santiago. And with a special level of attention being paid towards Afro-Cuban populations, while at the same time providing resources for all the vulnerable populations. So for those who are interested in seeing the great type of work that we're doing and want to be able to join us inside that endeavor, definitely get in contact with us via our website, right? And you can actually even email me directly at jguitard, JGUITARD, at diaspora, DIASPORA, excellence, EXCELLENCE.com. If there are different organizations, nationally and internationally, who would want to better be able to collaborate with us because of the level of grassroots programming that we have, and who understand the importance of adhering to the governmental laws and regulations and recognizing we're not here for advocacy, but to support the Cuban people, then we have open arms to meeting with you, building with you, collaborating with you, so that we can make a constructive and positive difference. Because right now, these are dire times, and it needs good people of good conscience and good heart who have the financial means and resources to work collaboratively together. And so when your family is in need, you need to show up and be able to provide support. So that's what my colleagues at La Fundación Educativa Diaspora are doing. We're providing support for our family, and we encourage others who would want to help us in supporting our families throughout the entire diaspora. Let's collectively join together, work together during this time frame of critical need.
Are you not entertained?
Okay.
Are you not entertained?